driving and you say, what is your speed? I'm not going to say that I'm driving at 45 miles. I'm going to say I drive at 45 miles an hour because I'm giving you the rate of change of distance with respect to time. So the measurement unit for any derivative, for any rate of change, average or instantaneous, it doesn't matter, and any derivative evaluated anywhere, it has to be a ratio of two measurement units. And what are those measurement units now? So when I determine h prime of 58, let's say it's $100 per degree Fahrenheit, outside temperature, because this is the function and it depends on the temperature outside. So if the function is distance with respect to time, then I will say I'm driving at such and such with respect to time. But here is the cost with respect to temperature outside. So if it's $100 or whatever it is, in dollars per degree Fahrenheit. Any questions? And now, I didn't forget, but I just want to look again. It says, would you expect h prime of 58 to be positive or negative? Explain. Okay. So the question is, if the temperature is 58 outside, I mean, if I need to determine h prime of 32, I know that the cost will increase. But if the temperature outside is 58, normally I expect the cost to decrease. So the higher the outside temperature, the less I spend on heating the inside of the building. So I expect the cost to decrease. But here, if I'm asked at 32 degrees Fahrenheit outside, I expect the cost to increase. Okay? Okay, let's look again and see what else we would like to discuss here. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It says each limit represents the derivative of some function f at some number a. State such a function and a in each case. I don't know. Let's look at 44. So I have limit as age approaches 0 from e to negative 2 plus h minus e to negative 2 divided by h. Okay, I'll stop sharing. So let's take a look at this limit and try to identify the function in the limit and try to identify a in this limit. Will anyone give it a shot?
F of x will be e to the negative 2, and then a...
Careful.
Is it e to the negative x? And
it could be negative x, it could be just x.
Yeah. And then a.
There is more than one correct answer. And a will be?
Negative 2.
That's it. And yes, there is more than one correct answer. So your option was fine too. Okay. I would like to work on problem 40. Sketch the graph of a function g for which g of 0 equals g of 2 equals g of 4 equals 0. G prime of 1 equals g prime of 3 equals 0. G prime of 0 equals g prime of 4 equals 1. Who chose this problem? It takes me 5 minutes to just copy it. I know I did. Okay, and then limit as x approaches infinity from g of x, it says equals infinity. Fine. And finally, limit as x approaches negative infinity from g of x equals negative infinity. Okay. Okay, did I manage to copy from this, 3 or 4 different problems? I hope not. I have that habit. I'm checking. G of 0, G of 2, G of 4. Yes, that's correct. G prime of 1, G prime of 3. Yes, that's correct. G prime of 0 and 4 and 1. Yes, that's correct. G prime of 2. Yes. That's infinity, and that's negative infinity. Yep, I think I copied everything correctly for a change. Okay, so we're asked to create a graph. There is more than one correct answer, but we're asked to create a graph that fits all this information. So please try to get used to this graph because we're going to use it a lot, please. So g prime of x and g of x, and you'll see why I choose to put them in this order later. Okay, and I'm going to summarize. This doesn't mean anything to me. I have to summarize all the information so it makes sense and I can easily come up with a graph. Okay, so first of all, I see I'm starting with limit of g of x as x approaches infinity. The limit of g of x is infinity. So this is accounted for. Limit of g of x as x approaches negative. I didn't lose my mind. I promise you. I didn't. Okay. So limit of g of x as x approaches negative infinity is negative infinity. And limit of g of x as x approaches infinity is infinity. Okay. So obviously no horizontal asymptotes. These are accounted for. Now g of 0, so I have to have in the table 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have to make sure they all fit. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. G of 0 is 0. G of 2 is 0. G of 4 is 0. This is accounted for. Now the derivatives. G prime of 1 and 3, G prime of 1 and 3 are 0. Accounted for. G prime of 0 and of 4 are 1. 1 and 4. Accounted for. And G prime of 2 is negative 1. Accounted for. Now I'm going to give it a shot and graph this function. Okay. So my points are the x values, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the points that I have already, 0, 0. This one, 0, 0, 2, 0, and 4, 0. At those points, the derivative is positive 1. That's my positive 1. At 2 is negative 1. I just draw the tangents. I didn't graph the function. I drew a tangent with a slope of 1. I drew a tangent with a slope of negative 1. And at 4, I drew a tangent with a slope of 1. Now, at 1, the derivative is 0. So at 1, the derivative is 0. I see that this has to follow this pattern, so it must be a maximum right here. Then a 3 is also 0, but it has to follow this pattern, so it must be a minimum here. And this way it has to go to infinity, and this way it has to go to negative infinity. I'm done. Here's my graph. This is my graph of g of x. Any questions?